Alabama won yesterday against South Carolina in what was a very hard-fought win. And a game that when I look back at, I thought, well, maybe they didn't deserve to win it. But I look back today and I go, maybe they did deserve to win it. And that's why they got the job done. The gauntlet that got them there, and then the drive that set up the tie game, that set up the defense that came up so big. Glad all you guys are here. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you for being on the Bama Tailgate Show with us today. And let's get this party started. Comment in that comment section, everybody. We're brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. The Azaleas, the Oaks, two amazing golf courses at Dancing Rabbit. Let's go. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, and it is great to talk to you guys on the Bama Tailgate Show today after Alabama with a I don't want to say resounding victory because it wasn't, but a victory nonetheless in which Bama was really pushed to the very edge of a loss at South Carolina. So much so that the South Carolina student section was really, I don't even know if it was just the student section. South Carolina fans all gathered at the bottom, ready to run out onto the field when the Gamecocks were leading Alabama by 8 at 22-14, and there wasn't that much time left on the clock. But what a great win for Alabama in so many different ways. Now I want to talk about the way that this thing went. They did everything wrong to me in this game. They'd been so disciplined. I thought that they had some penalties at the wrong time. They hadn't turned the ball over, and they turned the ball over. A strip fumble, and then obviously that Jalen Mbakwe blocking into the kick, not knowing where the ball is. I know it's tough when you're out there blocking, but you got to know where the ball is. A huge mistake, and it looked like the offense just wasn't in sync. Drop passes that we haven't seen all year from guys like Jeremy Bernard and Rico Scott, and Ryan Williams had a drop, although he did have some catches. And when it looked like the game was going to be over and it looked like Bama was done, they had one more shot, and they put together a methodical, absolutely bone-crunching, clutch drive, got down the field, scored. Ryan Grubb reached deep into his playbook, pulled out some tricks, including one for a two-point conversion that tied the game. And then the defense rips the ball away from the Norris Sellers. Bama gets it back. And then what was beautiful was that Jeremy Bernard did that fake reverse and runs it in. We don't have to wait on Connor Talty to miss the field goal, and we win the ball game. Some of you guys are going, Mick, you're not having you're not very confident in Talty. No, I'm not. I'm not confident in Talty. I think he's okay. You compare him to the kickers that we've had, and the guy wouldn't be on the field right now. He's not Graham Nichols. He's definitely, not someone that you want on there in the clutch. I mean, he's pretty good inside of 40. Outside of that, he's a shankster. And we need somebody to go out there and kick it right down the middle. So it was just amazing the way that game played out. And it looked like maybe South Carolina let Bernard score. And I guess that was a strategy. They get the ball back and they can go down and tie the game. And I've seen that in the NFL. This is a bad strategy. Should have made him snap the ball. And obviously they haven't seen Talty kick. So, it would have been a ton of pressure on him. And who knows what would have happened. Now, I will say this. This win for Alabama to me means a whole lot because of a lot of reasons. And I'm going to get into those, but I do want to tell you guys that AveD, Mick Nation, is going strong right now. There's our QR code right there. And we got hats. We're giving away tickets. We gave away tickets to Wisconsin. We're going to do that again. We have weekly prizes. It's basically just pick games, and it's all free. And you win cash and other prizes. But we're sending hats out right now for winners. Also got to be in the comment section as well to qualify. So thank you to AveD, and make sure you pause that and get that QR code. All right. Why do I feel today really good about this win. I was nervous. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I wasn't. I didn't like the way Alabama's offense looked. The team looked fatigued, and they should be. College football wasn't set up to be the NFL. It just wasn't. How many of those championship teams did Alabama have not play 4 weeks in a row like what Alabama just had to? Really 5 weeks in a row without a week off. You may have an LSU that would be good. You did play Auburn on their years. You might play Georgia, whoever you schedule at the beginning of the season. LSU's had some good teams. But it's not like it is today. It's just a different world right now. And it's really not a world where you're going to go undefeated, I don't think. I think these are set up to lose games. And Alabama has played a daunting schedule. But they've come up with ways to win, and they've used that Florida State game as motivation. I was talking about this last night. And if you guys missed it, the post-game show on the next round now. So make sure that you find me there after every game. That's where we'll be. Florida State beats Alabama, and it was a tough loss. Alabama looked soft in that game. They looked like they didn't want to be there. They looked unorganized. Florida State looked like they were going to be a national contender. I didn't think they were that good, and they're not. And then after the game, everybody in the world gave up on Alabama. It's kind of how this thing goes. And Florida State, everybody talked about how good they were, to the point where their offensive coordinator, our old buddy Gus Malzahn, is on his page tweeting about it's like old times, taking a shot at Alabama. And it is like old times. When you were at Auburn, Gus, you played good against Alabama, but you sucked against everybody else. You were inconsistent. And just like at Auburn, you're on the hot seat again. They're going to wonder now, you're going to get the job when they fire Mike Norvell? I don't know. But it was one game. And for you and you guys at Florida State, it was a game that basically ended your season before it ever got started. You patted yourselves on the back too much. You ran your mouth. You felt so good about life. You know what this team did? They put their heads down and they went to work. They decided that they didn't want that to be the identity of their team. And I love that about these guys. It's not like the talent levels like this anymore. You might have a slight talent edge in some positions. South Carolina's defensive line was really good. Bama's wide receivers didn't play like the best unit on the team. Actually, it was the defense that played like the best unit on the team. Bama's defensive line and obviously the corners. So a pick six and a forced fumble that set up 14. Well, scored 7 and then set up the game-winning touchdown. You scored 29. 14 comes from the defense. Very impressive. But this team had an opportunity to give up, and they didn't do it. And then the gauntlet starts. They came out against ULM, and they kicked the shit out of them. But you know what? They were going to do that anyway. But the way that they did it was methodical. The way that they did it was by playing about a perfect game. Then Wisconsin. Then after that, it was at Georgia. Go down there and beat a really disciplined, good Georgia team. Remember the Flying Dog? Yeah, they were the undisciplined team. And that's when you started to really see what this football team could be. Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt are one of the best teams in the country. They're in the top 10. They won again. They had game day twice this year. Beat them. Defense steps up. Strip, interception. Difference in the game. Against Vanderbilt, just like against South Carolina. Then you got to play at Missouri. Hey, they're good too. And go in there and take care of business. Then you owed old Rocky Top a little something for last year. Nobody talks more and better shit than the Tennessee fans. Go in there and beat them down. And now it's 4 straight games against ranked teams, really good teams. Then you see South Carolina and you're going, these guys are ranked in the beginning of the season, highly ranked. They're a good team. and they played like a good team. And you look tired, and you still went out there and got the job done. So 5 straight weeks, no weeks off. Coach Saban, I don't think he can even say that his teams went through this gauntlet before. And one of the things that I look at, too, is Alabama's championship teams have had these games, and they found a way to win them. You name a year, and I'll tell you what the games were. Look at a championship team, and you tell me. 92, that wasn't the Saban team, but they almost lost to Louisiana Tech and Vanderbilt. Like Tulane was a tough game. I mean, like you go to the last championship, 2020, Florida could have beat them. Ole Miss was a tough game. It just happens. You got to have those games like this. 2015, Tennessee was a tough game. They lost to Ole Miss. You got to find a way. The national championship game was a back and forth affair. Winning games, the way you win them, the way that you go and you approach your job every day, the culture that you create, all of that stuff is why I feel like Alabama deserved to win that football game. Now they get a week off, and guess what? You got LSU, Oklahoma, was it Northern Illinois or some team, scrappy, some run over, and then you got to go down to Auburn. So the season's it's tough. You better be ready to go. But I'll tell you what, the last stretch of games really does make you proud at the way that this team's fought. Now, Alabama in the new poll, the new AP poll, is number 4. Doesn't surprise me. SEC's got a lot of teams there. Ohio State and Indiana are 1 and 2. Texas A&M's 3. Alabama 4. Georgia 5. Oregon 6. Ole Miss 7th. Georgia Tech 8th. Vandy 9th. Miami 10th. Now, I do want to say this from just a personal standpoint. Oregon did a collaboration with the Grateful Dead. Their uniforms, they had basically with Nike and the Grateful Dead, they came up with this collaboration. I don't know how much merch they sold. I don't know how much money it brought in, but I'm telling you, it probably brought a lot in. We've got to be more creative when it comes to taking advantage of these opportunities to find ways to put money back into the athletic program. And Oregon did that. It was a great example of what you can do, how you can have fun, and how you can create the merch burning off the shelves. Now, I'm not saying Alabama's ever going to, alter their uniform for a great rock band, but I am saying there's a way to do this. And if Alabama wants to contend in this thing long term, they're going to have to kind of look outside of the box like Oregon did with this. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, Google it. It's really, really cool. When you look at the way that things are going right now for Alabama, heading into this off week, I feel like the team is definitely going in the right direction. Just kind of looking at how the team's winning, they're not just relying on the offense. Ty Simpson could win the Heisman Trophy. He's definitely a contender. He's going to have a Heisman moment, I feel like. Bama's going to have to continue to win. But the defense is doing a lot, not only just to not allow teams to score, but also scoring points and takeaways. And that's a really good sign for Alabama. Something that I didn't really expect. The other thing is this coaching's a lot different than what we're used to. Nick Saban didn't run a lot of trick plays. He was we're just going to do better at the basics. And it works. We're also going to have better athletes and players than you and more depth. And we're going to be disciplined. And that works. We're going to follow the process. And that works too. All things I believe in. These guys are an offense-first style of coaching. And guess what? It works. Run game hasn't been good enough. They've got to get better at the run blocking. They've got to get better at being able to run the ball. But you know what? When the game was on the line, they did run the ball. There was some big runs late in that game that mattered. whether it was Ty Simpson, Daniel Hill, or Jam Miller, or Jeremy Bernard. I'd love to see them get more consistent at just the normal run plays. I think sometimes when you watch mistakes happen, it's because Alabama becomes a little bit too pass happy. But at the same time, you can't argue with the success that these guys are having. Stopping the run hasn't been our strength. It used to be what our defense was built around. This defense isn't built like that anymore. This is a defense that's built to bend and not break. And if you make a mistake, seize on that opportunity with a takeaway. I don't know defenses like our friend Ryan Anderson. I didn't play in the NFL. I didn't, work under, coaches running defenses. It's different. And the reason I'm saying that is that I don't criticize it a whole lot because I just look at the end result. And the end result is how many points did you give up and how many did you score? So you're getting criticized if they score more than you, and you're not if you score more than them. And I think, to me, that's one of the areas where this Alabama team really needs to get a lot of credit. Guys like Bray Hubbard, Keon Sabb, and some young guys, Red Morgan getting in there and doing some stuff. Yanze Pierre, Jefferson's been so good. Deontay Lawson helped with that strip. Bama is going to have to utilize every single player that comes into the game to have success. This isn't the Bama teams under Nick Saban, but they're explosive when they want to be. They can control the clock when they want to do that too. And I think that this team could be a national champion. My friend Kelvin Gosa reached out. He's like, man, I feel like this is a national championship team. This next game against LSU will tell you a lot about where this team is. How do they build off of 5 straight wins, but almost losing to South Carolina? How do they show up when everybody's going to be looking at them? Hey, you're in the top 5 now again, and patting you on the back. Was South Carolina a product of rat poison, or was it what I thought, a perfect trap game? We'll find out, because LSU's not going to be a trap game. Nobody in Tuscaloosa on that football team should care about how they got their butts whooped by Texas A&M and they lost to Ole Miss. It's LSU, and it's a big rival. And Alabama's going to have to beat them to be in the college football playoff. And so we'll see. How do they come out? Are they going to improve on offense? They're going to do a better job of scoring early? Are they going to have less 3 and outs? So they're going to give Ty Simpson more time to throw? They're going to stop dropping passes? All that stuff is what I'm looking for as we kind of move on. So we're in the off week now. Shank and I will get together tomorrow. We'll talk to Mike Johnson. We'll do our normal thing. But what I will say is thank you for being here. If you guys want the crispy screen right there, or you want that immaculate reception by the Deuces, including Ryan Williams against Georgia a year ago, get those Daniel Moore prints. Use our promo code Bama Tailgate, 20% off at checkout. And we appreciate you guys so much for being here on the channel and hanging out. Again, we are brought to you by the great people at Pearl River Resort. If you'd have gone over there and threw your money down on Bama at the Golden Moon Casino, you would have lost because they didn't cover the spread. But you could have took them on the money line. Look, it's Vegas without having to go all the way out to Vegas. Hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 and change from Birmingham, 20 big screen TVs, full-size bar. The window's easy to get to. You don't have to pay for the tables. If you want to sit there and watch games and bet, you can do that. Individual kiosks if you kind of want your own space. They also have the stand-up kiosk if you want to go over there and place your bets as well. But it's a Vegas-style sports book. It's all legal. And we appreciate them for being part of our show each week. So thank you guys. Big win for Alabama. I know we're going to beat by, and then we got to worry about LSU, then Oklahoma's with a lot of 4 really big games coming up, 3 which you could lose, and then 1 kind of test game. So going to be a lot of fun. Roll Tide, everybody.
I may not suit up on Saturdays anymore, but I'm still in the game.
Let's roll.
In here, I call the plays, make adjustments, and lay it on the line. Want to feel that fire, that rush? Then you've got to get in the game. I used to say it in the tunnel, and I still say it now. Let's roll.